Yes, my name is Jennifer Duyne. I'm from the ETH Center for Research on Architecture, Society and the Built Environment. We are an interdisciplinary research center focusing on housing issues and challenges. And indeed, the SNIS project that I'm directing is called Tackling the Global Housing Challenges, Housing Uruguay's and Switzerland's Housing Cooperative Strategies and Achievements.
And what are the questions that guide your research?
We want to explore what can be the role of housing cooperatives in overcoming the global housing crisis. We know that presently this is a huge challenge. We know that by 2025, 1.6 billion people will actually not have adequate housing. 880 million people are currently living in slums. International organizations such as UN Habitat are increasingly rediscovering housing cooperatives as a potential third way to address the housing crisis. And we want to explore, based on two countries which have currently very strong housing cooperative movements, whether indeed the model of these two countries, Switzerland and Uruguay, is replicable in a large number of countries where there are these problems. So actually our question is very much related, on the one hand, what are the contextual factors that determine the success of housing cooperatives, and on the other hand also what are their strategies to disseminate their experience globally, because both Switzerland and Uruguay, though with very different means and approaches, are very concerned about sharing their experience with other countries. This is also because cooperation between cooperatives is one of the core values of housing cooperatives.
And what are the methods which you intend to employ in order to find out what you're looking for?
On the one hand, of course, we make a very detailed institutional analysis. We know that one of the factors that determines whether housing cooperatives are successful is the regulatory framework. So what are the sort of enabling mechanisms that governments at national and municipal level, we see that very much housing policies are very often actually determined by municipal level actors. So basically we analyze these policies and we see how these are constraining and enabling housing cooperatives to emerge. We analyze also, considering that housing cooperatives is a very heterogeneous movement, we analyze in a way what is specific about these two countries, how are they embedded, how have they historically evolved over the time. So and that we do, of course, with interview with stakeholders, with participant observation. We have the possibility to work very closely with the Housing Cooperatives Association, both in Uruguay and in Switzerland, which allows us also to see through what means and strategies they are trying to influence housing policies. We know that in both countries they are important activists also that are trying to, through various strategies, to influence housing policies. So we analyze these strategies. We then do also multi-sited case studies in different cities to really make a comparative analysis between policies at the municipal level. We move then down also to the cooperative level. We do multi-sited case studies of specific housing cooperatives to also understand the culture that drives housing cooperatives and what are the added values of housing cooperatives. That will be basically the first phase. In a second phase, we will then analyze their dissemination strategies. Uruguay in particular has been very active over the last 20 years in more than 15 Central American countries, and we want to see how they have been doing that, and also in which places they have been successful and in which places they have been less successful, and again trying to understand what factors determine the replicability of their approach. Switzerland in that sense has not been as active internationally as Uruguay, and we think that is indeed for Swiss cooperatives which are now starting to consider to be more active internationally. It will be a very interesting learning process also to see how the Uruguayan cooperatives are working in this field and with what results.
And what do you hope to achieve by the 2 years of project?
We indeed hope to, one very concrete thing which we hope to achieve is to make Swiss housing cooperatives, to prepare them to be more active internationally. We think that one of the lessons, and I think it's a good thing also that for once we can really see that Switzerland can learn from the partners in the Global South. And we hope that the Swiss cooperatives and also Swiss Development Cooperation, with whom we are also having a dialogue, will understand the importance of housing cooperatives as a strategy to overcome or to contribute to overcoming the global housing crisis, and that creating mechanisms to support their dissemination strategies is very important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you, SNIS, for supporting our project.